Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome to my shop. Today is February 1st and this is my weekly shop update. So let's get into the viewer projects for this week. Got some good ones. This first project is from John. This is a really awesome walnut dining table. This thing is just gorgeous and I love the story behind it. This really strikes close to my heart. It was made from 2 walnut trees that were dying in someone's yard that he asked to cut down and use for lumber. So he milled them on site with his chainsaw mill and ended up turning the wood into this amazing table. And it is just ginormous. The top is 43 inches by 100 inches long and a full 3 inches thick, which is ridiculous. That's a heavy, heavy table. So this is a really awesome table. I'll have all the pictures as well as the full story and description on the blog post for this video. A link to that will be in the description. That's over on my website. The next project is a wooden football from Charles. This thing is really cool. It's made of 32 cedar strips, hand painted, and has a clear epoxy finish. And I saw this, I was like, this is really cool because I've seen like cedar strip canoes before, which is something I've always wanted to do and try, but never a football. This next one is from Donald. This is his first pen. Really awesome story behind this. I'll have the full story in the video blog post thingy. But basically there was this tree that his sister really liked and unfortunately it was cut down, but Donald was able to find a piece of the tree kicking around that he turned into a pen for her so that she could have a piece of this tree with her wherever she went, which is a really cool story and I really enjoyed that one. If you haven't seen Donald before, you'll probably see him kicking around or hanging out in the comments down below of my videos. He is always here commenting and having a good time. His channel is really cool too. He does some really nice woodworking stuff as well with pretty much no tools. I think out of everyone that I watch on YouTube, Donald always surprises me the most because he has just such raw skill, but with the most basic tools. So awesome stuff, Donald. Love your work, love your channel, and thanks for all of your support. This last project here is from Cody. This is a Greene inspired blanket chest. This was a guild build in the Wood Whisperer Guild a few years back, and I think Cody did an amazing job with this thing. It just looks absolutely beautiful. So again, I have a nice rundown of all of your projects for today in my blog post over on my website. And if you want to have your project featured here on the show, just send me an email with a description and some pictures, and I will add you to my list. So how about this week in the shop for me? Well, when we left off last week, whoops, just dropped something. When we left off last week, I had just cut the grooves and dados for the inlay banding in my tabletop. And this week I was able to get out here and get this inlay installed and flushed up. So let me show you how that went. I started up by installing the other longer inlay for the front, and I could work on the 2 sides. I first got the one side fit to my liking, till that miter is nice and tight, and then I can start working on the other side. So I pressed that inlay in almost to the end, and then I'll mark the locations of the miters with the marking knife. And then I'll slowly chop back to get the perfect fit and the perfect angle. I want this to be pretty tight, so when it looks like it's just barely not going to fit, I'll go ahead and hammer it in. And then that miter is really tight and nice and crisp. Once I get all the corners all nice and pretty, I'll go ahead and glue these in for good. And I can use a mallet to just press them into the grooves. Once the glue is dry, I can come back and start flushing it up. I found it's pretty easy to come over with a block plane and bring that extra inlay banding down to the surface, or fairly close to it, and then I can follow up with some light card scraping. So I just threw some mineral spirits on there, and here's what the tabletop looks like. It still needs a little bit of surface prep. I've got a few pieces of glue or some tear out I got to fix in a couple of places, but otherwise tabletop is good to go. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I think the cherry banding really looks nice against the walnut. It gives a really nice look. So this thing is coming really close to the end. The last piece I have to do is make the drawer, and I have decided on this for sure for my drawer front. I showed this a couple weeks ago, this piece of wood. This is gonna be my drawer front right here, from here to here, I think. And I'm gonna try and keep this knot pattern centered in the drawer front so it's symmetrical. So that's what I'm gonna do for the drawer front. It was a lot of, I put a lot of time into this decision. So I put a lot of time into that decision. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go with that crazy of a drawer front, but I think I'm gonna go for it. Or I am gonna go for it, but hopefully it works out for me. So the other thing this week is I took the log trailer out to pick up the rest of those maple logs. I do have some clips of the loading. I know people are always interested in seeing how that went and how it goes. So here are some clips of the loading process. And one last thing before you go. Last week I forgot to actually mention that I was a guest on the Woodshop 101 podcast. So I'll have a link to the episode that I was on down in the description, along with the links to everything else that I talked about today. So thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments about anything I talked about today or anything here in my shop, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy woodworking.